board, I like to look into where the government is spending money and then make investment decisions based off that information, and it's worked out pretty well for me. I was able to fund the down payment for this house last time Trump was president, and I'm working on building low-income housing in my area. And I am American. I'm from the United States of America. But a lot of lovely people from our great neighbors to the north have asked me a bunch of questions, specifically about how they can do this in Canada and about Mark Carney. So I decided to look into it a little bit. And this is not investment advice. I'm not a licensed professional. I'm just some dumb bitch with an internet connection that likes to research things. I'm not Canadian. I wish I was. I really do. Like, you do not understand how fucking hot it is here. And, like, the other issues that are going, like, besides all of the other issues going on, like, you would not understand how fucking hot it is. But let's get into it. So, first off, I want to talk about the actual apps involved with investing in Canada. I went on a little bit of a dive, like the Canadian Financial Advice subreddit, and there are a couple ones that they recommend. Number one is Wealthsimple. That seems like it's the closest to, like, that would be our Robinhood equivalent, and I'll put a couple other options on the screen. It looks like Robinhood may actually be opening a Toronto office soon. It seems like they've been hiring since like September 2024, and it's now like July 2025. So, like, who knows if they've given up on it, if they've target of Canada themselves, you know, like, we'll see what happens. So back to Mark Carney. So for my other stupid Americans that might not know, he was an investment banker, which I find very interesting. And he has recently been plucked from the ether and put into a prime minister position in Canada. It looks like he was on the board of a couple different investment firms, including Bloomberg, and this is where my interest got piqued, Brookfield Asset Management. Videos ago, I mentioned that there was a company that had partnered with Google in Pennsylvania to provide hydroelectric energy to some AI data centers. That's the same guys. It's the same fucking people, man. So he was involved in this company. So I was like, okay, let me go a little bit deeper into this. And, like, I picked out the New York Stock Exchange stock tickers as well as the Toronto Stock Exchange tickers this time because, like, yay Canada. So I looked into this Brookfield Asset Management, and they are, according to them, planning to double the size of their business over the next 5 years. That's insane. Like, once we get into, like, what all they do. So one thing they're doing is they've invested a metric shit ton of money into this Swedish AI infrastructure. So that's really cool. That's in addition to, like, the Pennsylvania Google stuff, right? Apparently these people own a bunch of stuff, right? Like, their Wikipedia page calls them a Canadian multinational company that's one of the world's largest alternative investment management companies. But what's an alternative investment management company, right? A traditional investment management company generally has cash, bonds, real estate, and stocks, right? Like, that's your normal stuff. An alternative one can include other things, such as tangible assets, art, wine, vintage coins and cars, precious metals, real estate, commodities, hedge funds, investments in forestry and shipping. They also heavily invest in this subsidiary called Oaktree, and that is one of the world's largest distressed securities buyers, which means that they buy securities from companies or government entities that are experiencing financial or operational distress, like default or bankruptcy. That's interesting. That seems like you could have some big swings either way, right? Like that. This Oaktree, which, like, sounds like it could be extremely volatile, is also the basis for a lot of pension funds. They've got a lot of very interesting investments, including Alaris, which is aluminum, at Quicksilver and Billabong. So they're getting both sides of the aisle on that one. And they have this glass etching firm. If anybody's got any guesses what that's for, I'm very interested. I'm all ears. So I'd also like to point out the new Democratic Party of Canada says that Canada missed out on $5.3 billion worth of tax revenue because they were avoiding taxes when Carney was at the company, right? Like, he was that good at it. And now he's in charge of your government. So I'm interested to see how you guys feel about it, right? Because it feels like he's really good at doing some things, but it might not be the things that you need him to do. So how's that going? They use a lot of shady tactics to buy all these assets, right? Like, I read about one, a limestone quarry in Ohio that they were, like, doing some kind of, like, weird bookkeeping on. They also have a lot of circular cash, which means, like, there are so many different arms of Brookfield. Right? They may buy something over here and sell it over here and take a loss, right? And affect their, like, they're cooking books or something, right? Like, there's something shady going on. And apparently a lot of people have thought that. Oh, it's interesting that they're allowed to do that. And that it's like all out in the open. Another arm that owns rail transportation, toll roads, telecom infrastructure, port operations, data centers, and energy infrastructure in, hold on, this is a list, Australia, Brazil, Colombia, Canada, Germany, India, the UK, US, Singapore, and Peru. That's a lot of different countries, right? That's a lot of variety. That's a lot of diversity, right? And they've put in billions of dollars in South America and India. It's the telecom and rail reach over there. So that's really interesting. They've also got a joint effort with Intel to build a chip manufacturing plant in Chandler, Arizona. Another arm, because like there's so many arms to this. Like these guys are like an octopus. But they have one called Brookfield Renewable Partners that owns over 200 hydroelectric plants, 100 wind farms, and 550 solar facilities, at least 27 of which are in Ontario, Quebec, British Columbia, and New England. Also has like several arms that aren't publicly traded, right? Like they've got a residential arm where they own like a lot of Canadian homes, and they have another one called Brookfield Property Partners. That one's based in Bermuda, and that one owns mostly shopping malls and office buildings, and you can't trade in that one either. So this is a very interesting thing you guys got going on. Would I invest in this? Quite possibly. It seems like the biggest downfall with this would probably be the government getting involved, right? But it looks like because Mark Carney is the government and is also big buddies with these guys, it doesn't seem like that's likely to happen, does it? So I don't know. I would probably invest in this until he's gone. But I don't know how Canadian politics works compared to American politics. But like, if this was us, the next guy that came in, this would all be gone, right? Like they would throw this at so many different committees and they would try to bust this up in so many different ways. So like maybe keep that in mind. But it looks like you guys have you got some shit going on. If you've got any insights into Brookfield and what's going on and how that all works, please let me know. I'm very interested. This is a tangled web that's been woven.